From the very first day of its existence, humanity sought its bearings. It listened to the stars scattered across the night sky, to the shadows of mountains, and to the whisper of the wind. Yet nature did not always speak clearly. When clouds hid the stars, when forest paths intertwined, when the sea stretched into a boundless void, finding direction became not only a matter of survival, but one of civilization's most profound questions. And at that moment, the compass emerged. It was not merely a magnetic needle, but an instrument that would determine the fate of expeditions, trade routes, discoveries, and empires. The compass enabled humankind to explore not only the world, but also itself. To find direction was to discover identity, to know who one is and where one is meant to go. The importance of direction, from geographical uncertainty to global connection. Much of human history was shaped by the struggle against geographical uncertainty. Finding direction was not simply part of a journey, it was a tool for survival, exploration, and dominion. As societies transitioned into settled life, people needed orientation to place their fields, water sources, and settlements. Early methods relied on natural indicators, the rising and setting of the sun, the phases of the moon, the motion of the stars, the direction of the wind, and the length of shadows. But these signs were not always reliable. Clouded skies, vast deserts, or open seas obscured all reference points, turning navigation into a perilous task. For long-distance trade and maritime exploration, orientation became a decisive factor in the development of civilizations. Those who mastered it expanded trade routes, extended their cultural influence, and projected power far beyond their borders. Direction was also the foundation of timekeeping, cartography, and astronomy. Thus, orientation was not only a practical necessity, but an intellectual pursuit that advanced scientific thought. Yet nature's signs were limited. Humanity needed a guide that was constant, portable, and universal. That answer was the compass. The lodestone and natural magnetism, foundations of science. To understand the compass, one must first grasp the nature of magnetism. Long before humans studied it, magnetism existed silently within the earth itself. At the heart of this phenomenon lies magnetite, an iron-rich mineral known as the lodestone. Ancient Greeks called it the Magnesian stone, perhaps after Magnesia in western Anatolia, where it was first discovered to attract iron. Early observers believed this force was mystical, an invisible spirit within the stone. But over time, curiosity replaced superstition. Scientists learned that the Earth's molten iron and nickel core behaves like a giant electric current, creating a vast magnetic field. When a piece of lodestone was allowed to move freely, it aligned north to south. A simple observation, yet revolutionary. For the first time, humans possessed a constant reference independent of stars or sun. This small, self-orienting stone became a bridge between natural mystery and scientific reason, a tool that pointed not only toward the north but toward understanding. The birth of the compass in China. The first steps of technology. When the compass transformed from theory to instrument, China stood at the forefront. A civilization deeply rooted in observing and systematizing nature, the Chinese recognized the magnetic stone's potential. Records trace the earliest compass-like tools to the Han Dynasty, used first not for navigation, but for divination. A spoon-shaped lodestone floating in water would always turn south, earning it the name south-pointing spoon. Later, this principle found practical use in feng shui, in temple and tomb alignments, and eventually in seafaring. By the Song dynasty, the first portable compasses appeared. Chinese sailors, unable to rely on stars during cloudy nights, used floating needles that turned freely in water to reveal direction. What had begun as a spiritual object evolved into a strategic technology. Chinese records describing its maritime use predate European sources by centuries, proving that China not only invented but also applied the compass in exploration, trade, and cultural exchange. It was here that technology first became an extension of observation, and observation a bridge to power. The compass in the Islamic world, science and the quest for qibla. After China, the next great leap in the compass's story came through the Islamic civilization. During the Middle Ages, the Islamic world was the leading center of knowledge in mathematics, astronomy, geography, and medicine. In this intellectual climate, instruments like the compass found both refinement and purpose. For Muslims, direction held sacred meaning. The qibla, the direction of the Kaaba in Mecca, was essential to worship. Determining this direction across distant lands was a complex challenge. By the 9th century, scholars such as al-Biruni, Ibn Yunus, and Ibn al-Shatir combined astronomy with magnetic orientation to calculate direction precisely. When the compass was integrated into these calculations, finding the qibla became both easier and more accurate. By the 13th century, Arabic geographical manuscripts described compass usage in detail. The Islamic world thus transformed the compass into a bridge between faith and science. Its design evolved into a magnetized needle floating in water, portable, stable, and precise. With it came advances in cartography, as seen in Al-Idrisi's celebrated world map. Through the Islamic world, the compass did not merely guide travelers, it aligned science, devotion, and discovery into a single intellectual horizon. The Age of Discovery, Navigation, and the European Expansion. By the 14th century, the compass had reached Europe. Mediterranean sailors, driven by trade and curiosity, faced vast oceans that no longer yielded to the eye or star. The magnetic needle, pointing north, regardless of the heavens, became their constant guide. Italy, Spain, and Portugal pioneered its maritime use. Venetian and Genoese fleets integrated it into their trading systems, linking east and west more securely than ever before. The compass transformed navigation into a science, and science into conquest. Prince Henry the Navigator of Portugal used it systematically along the African coasts. Soon after, explorers such as Columbus, da Gama, and Magellan relied on it to cross uncharted waters and discover new worlds. Possessing a compass became synonymous with power. Empires were built upon its steady needle. Spain and Portugal, guided by its precision, founded colonial empires and reshaped the map of the world. In time, the compass itself evolved, mounted in gimbaled boxes to resist ship motion, integrated into detailed sea charts, and taught in naval academies. It was no longer just an instrument. It was a symbol of dominion, intellect, and ambition. The power of direction, trade, empire, and control. By the 15th and 16th centuries, the compass had become an emblem of global power. With it, nations extended their reach across oceans. Spain, Portugal, the Netherlands, England, and France competed to control sea routes and colonize new territories. The compass guided fleets that redrew the boundaries of the known world. Where the stars had once ruled navigation, now magnetic north defined destiny. Trade flourished, resources shifted, and cultures collided under its unseen hand. The British East India Company used it to establish routes to India and the Far East, while the Ottoman Empire employed it to command the Mediterranean. It revolutionized not only trade, but warfare. Fleets maneuvered with greater precision, and naval strategy rose to equal land-based power. The compass, once a solitary traveler's guide, had become the tool of empires, the silent architect of domination. The modern compass and the digital transformation. From magnetism to microchip. From the 19th century onward, science and industry reshaped the compass. Understanding of magnetism deepened. Precision improved. Liquid-filled compasses stabilized the needle and reduced vibration, becoming standard in military and maritime use. By the 20th century, the compass had entered the electronic age. Electromagnetic sensors replaced mechanical needles, allowing miniaturization and integration into modern technology. Today, every smartphone and GPS device carries a digital descendant of the ancient lodestone. Tiny magnetometers detect the Earth's magnetic field, combining it with satellite data to produce global navigation systems. No longer confined to ships or explorers, the compass now rests in every pocket, guiding hikers, travelers, and even autonomous machines. In aviation and space exploration, inertial navigation systems and gyroscopic compasses continue its legacy. From magnetism to microchip, the compass remains one of humanity's most enduring technological evolutions, simple in form, yet profound in consequence. The meaning of the compass. From finding north to finding self. For centuries, the compass served as a physical guide. In the modern age, it has also become a metaphorical one. It symbolizes humanity's search for order amid chaos. for constancy amid change. Writers and thinkers invoke the compass to describe moral, emotional, and cultural orientation, the inner principles that guide human choice. Nations, leaders, and institutions speak of strategic compasses to define their vision and values. To ask, "Where am I going?" is no longer only a geographical question, it is existential. The compass thus transcends its material form to represent a universal human condition, the longing for direction in both world and self. The story of the compass, the direction of humanity. Throughout history, the compass has guided not only travelers but civilizations. The same needle that points north has also pointed humanity toward progress, ambition, and understanding. From a Chinese scholar's floating magnet to the hands of sailors who crossed oceans, from imperial fleets to the microchips in our devices, the compass has charted our collective journey. It reminds us that direction is not merely physical. It is intellectual, moral, and deeply human. To find true north is, ultimately, to find purpose. The compass tells us not only where we stand, but where we are going. And in a world still searching for balance, perhaps the most essential compass is the one within us, the quiet alignment of mind, heart, and will that guides every step we take. Humanity is the most curious traveler on Earth. What has driven it across millennia was never only the search for new lands, but the restlessness within. The compass, therefore, is more than an invention. It is a symbol of the shared work of the mind and the heart. As simple as a needle pointing north, yet as profound as its meaning. For in every age of darkness, what humankind must rediscover is always the same, its own direction. Sometimes it hides in a star, sometimes in an idea, sometimes in a silent intuition. And each time it is found, the world regains a fragment of its balance. Perhaps the entire journey exists to teach us this: direction always begins within.